What's going on, guys? It's the Confident Charisma Coach, Franz, and in this video I want to talk about how to never run out of things to say, how to keep the conversation going. And if you checked out the last video on how to start the conversation, I gave you one key technique that you can use to start the conversation with anybody at any time, anywhere. In this video, I'm going to talk about a couple techniques to keep the conversation going and never running out of things to say. And in fact, these techniques, I pulled them from my Confident Charisma Bootcamp, and it's a major masterclass session in that bootcamp that teaches you how to master your conversational skills. If you want more information about that, click the link below or hit me up on the DMs and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But these techniques that I pulled from that master class are techniques that I believe anybody, whether you're a shy, introverted person or a social butterfly, anybody can start doing today to increase their conversational skills and never have that awkward moment of not knowing what to say or running out of things to say. With that said, let's talk about number one. Number one is free association, but free associate the right way. You might have heard of this technique, free association. It's been taught out there by plenty of people, but been taught the wrong way. A lot of people who teach this technique tell you the best way to free associate is to be self-amusing. If you never heard of self-amusement, it's a technique where you start talking and doing things that please you. You start saying things that you find funny. They might not be funny, or they might be funny, but you start saying them anyway. You start amusing yourself instead of trying to amuse the other person. This is okay. I don't really like this technique, and I don't like it with free association. All right, free association is an awesome technique used in improv, and in fact, it's used in other industries too, which I'll get to. And the right way to do it, and the right way to practice it, is in your everyday life, right? Take about 15 minutes a day, 10 minutes, or even 5 minutes to do this. Look at something. For instance, I can see myself in the camera and I can see my map in the background, and take one or two things, one or two aspects of that, and then tie it into something about your life. Let me explain. For instance, I see my map in the background. Obviously, it's a map. The ocean is blue. I'll take the blue aspect and try to come out with 3 things in my life that have to deal with the color blue, right? Number one, blue is one of my favorite colors right there. Blue is one of my favorite colors. I like things that are blue except for my car. I don't like blue cars for some reason, except for my sister's car. My sister's car is actually blue and it actually looks good. I wouldn't drive it, I wouldn't buy it, but I'll definitely drive it. I like how it looks. All that right there was free association. I took one thing and then I started piling on top of that, right? And many people teach this, but they teach it in a form of being self-amusement, and self-amusing negates the other person. What I mean is that you don't calibrate to the other person. Obviously, in that example, I'm only talking to you guys, nobody's talking back to me, but if somebody was in front of me and they're talking to me, I could say the same thing, but then I can tie in a question with that, and that's the right way to practice it. You take something, tie it into your life, and then turn it into a question. Let's take the ocean again. The color blue. My favorite color is blue. I like a lot of blue things, blue clothes, except for blue cars. You know what I'm saying? Most blue cars I find funny. But what about you? What's your favorite color? In fact, what's one of your two of your favorite colors? One that you like for your style, and another one that you like for maybe your iPhone case or painting your walls. That's how you tie it in. Practice this. Go out and pick apart a couple things in your life. For instance, let's take the map again. Instead of taking the color blue, I could take that blues for the ocean is something wet. I like being wet in certain situations, like when I'm taking a shower or when I'm in, the bedroom. But other than that, I hate being wet. Like, I hate humid weather. Like, when it's hot and sticky outside. What about you? Like, did you grow up in a place that was either hot or cold or a little bit of both? Did it have all 4 seasons? Tell me about the place you grew up. These are great examples, and obviously I'm not talking to nobody, I'm talking to you guys, but this is how you tie it in and practice free association. So go out and do that. Moving on, because I was a little bit long-winded. The next technique comes from free association and is a technique I call the freestyle rapper, right? If anybody knows me, I like rap. I like old school hip hop, late 90s, early 2000s, when they were really lyrical, right? And what old school hip hop used to do was they'll go to like a radio station and freestyle. And one of the major keys about freestyling is that it gotta be on top of your head. So what these rappers would take things like, take the map in the background or the plants I have and use that as a jumping point for their freestyle. Here's an example, right? Woo, my voice is going. Take the plants in the background, right? They're green. You could take one aspect of something like that, like the color green or that they're plants, and try to rhyme 1 or 2 things with that. Don't do this in conversations. I'm not telling you to be a freestyle rapper, but I'm telling you this is a great technique to use so you can start to free associate and free up your mind. All right, give me a minute. Oh, I was yelling a lot last night. My voice is gone. Anyway, take the color green. What rhymes with green? Green, lean, machine, fiend, on the team. All right, take all that, right? That's one aspect. How about that it's a green plant? What rhymes with plant? You only have to have 1 to 2 things that rhyme. And it is a great exercise. I highly suggest you practice this exercise 10 minutes a day. It'll do wonders for not only your conversational skills, but your flirtation skills, especially in the area of push-pull, which is one of the best flirtation techniques that you can go and do out there. More about push-pull, I'll probably have a video about that. It's the best technique you can use for flirting, and it creates attraction, but if you use it the right way. Going back to this, right? You take the plant, it's a plant, I'm doing this off the top of my head. Plant, camp, it reminds me of boot camp when I was in the military. It reminds me of summer camp. I went one time, had a blast. I had this girl that I had a major crush on, and bam, I start talking from that aspect. Practice that 15 minutes a day. And make sure you drink plenty of water so your voice don't be cracking up like mine. It's crazy out here. Here's another technique that you can use to never run out of things to say. And that is to have 3 preloaded questions, open-end questions to ask the person, right? Here are 2 of my favorite ones. Come up with a 3rd one and let me know. Hit me up. I'm really curious about what kind of questions you guys come up with. All right. 3 open-ended questions. 2 of them. One of them is, what's your favorite moment as a kid? This is great because you start dealing with the person's past and they will open up and they will talk for days. Do this if you're on a date. Do this with a girl that you're on a date with, and I'm telling you, you'll have materials for days to talk about. Another question I like asking, right, is what was your high school experience like? You know what I'm saying? Were they geeky? Were they bullied? Were they a jock? People will talk about their high school experience for days. And you can go into really deep conversation about these 2 open-ended questions. Again, pick a 3rd one that is something you're curious about and let me know in the DMs. Man, my voice is gone. All right, next technique is actually to have 3 stories prepared. If you want to learn how to tell a great story structure. I actually did a video, and if you're part of the email, you should have gotten that video. So I won't go into too much detail about that. But have 3 stories ready at all time to talk about. Right, last technique that I'm gonna leave you guys with, right, is to shut up and let the other person talk. Yes. Sometimes you have to just shut up and sit in that tension, that pressure. I know a lot of people don't like silence in a conversation because they feel like you always have to be talking, you don't want to be boring, all that. I get that. But sometimes you got to let the other person handle that talk, and you have to sit there and handle that pressure. Especially if you're talking to a girl. Not in the beginning when you're talking to her and you're flirting with her, but later on in the conversation, sometimes you just sit back and stay quiet. They're feeling the same pressure to continue the conversation, just like you are, and I guarantee you they'll pop up with something to say. And it creates confidence, because if you could sit in silence and not fidget and not be so antsy to answer or to break the silence, that's a trait of a dominant man. In fact, I should do a video on the key traits of dominance of an alpha male. I'll probably do that later on. But that's all the technique I got for you. Of course, I got way more. I got things like open loops. Open loops is great. I got things like, mini code reads. I got things like, the proper way to push pull, whether you're talking to a female that you're flirting with or a coworker that you can banter with and laugh with, how to use humor to continue the conversation. I got a lot of things, again, that's all a part of the Confidence Charisma Coach Bootcamp. More information, click the link or hit me up on DMs. With that said, I'm out of here. I'm gonna fix his voice. See you guys next time. Peace.